Okay, so I just finished the third episode of the Vampire Diaries, and I have a lot of questions now. It was a pretty good episode. I'm definitely liking each episode more than the one that came before it, so that's a good sign. And I liked everybody a little bit more. Damon, of course, is still the rock star of the show. Absolutely love him. But everybody else is warming up to me. So, this actually applies to the previous episode. So Elena, like, specifically, like, very, very specifically told Stefan where her diary is. Like, it was oddly specific how she told him. So I wonder if that's like Chekhov's diary or something, and that's going to come back later because it's just weird. So I wrote, I hate that fucking teacher. We're supposed to. Of course, he gets eaten later on, which I did not see coming. That actually really shocked me. And again, I appreciate that they're not pulling any punches with Damon and that he's actually allowed to be evil and he's not just like strutting around, threatening that he's going to do bad things, but like not actually doing it. Like we see that he's a bad dude and he's doing bad things. But he made this comment where he was trying to fake his brother out to, I do have some humanity in me or whatever. And he said he's been doing some soul searching, and that made me question, do they have souls? Because I am a huge Buffy and Angel fan, so that's a big deal. That's kind of the whole deal for the vampires in the Buffyverse, is that they don't have souls. When they are turned, when they're vamped, they lose their souls, and that's why they're basically all psychopaths. And so I'm curious if the vampires in the Vampire Diaries, if they have souls. The other thing, and I wanted to mention this in the last episode as well, but it happens more in this episode, is that they're pretty obvious with their powers. Like, they're doing things, they're kind of like not afraid to do things in front of other people. So, like, in this episode, when, I wish I need to write down everybody's names, but the one guy throws the football at Stefan, and he spins around and catches it, and I was wondering, like, I kind of thought that's what he was going to do, but I thought maybe he'll let it hit him, because we know that he's got the super hearing, and obviously he's got like super vamp senses and whatever, so he knows that this guy is throwing a football at his head. And I thought that when the other guy tackled him, and I could be wrong because I did kind of zone out the whole football montage, I have to be honest, I kind of just glazed over. But when when Stefan got tackled, I kind of thought that he let that happen, like he allowed himself to be tackled. But now I'm not certain, because honestly, like I said, I wasn't really paying attention to that part. But so yeah, he did. He turned around and he grabbed the football, and then he threw it back, and of course he threw it back extra hard. And it was kind of a cool moment, but like he turned around way too fast. And he was standing right in front of Elena, and of course everybody else was watching him. Like, it was really, really obvious, and like not natural. And there were a few more instances of that. I'm trying to think. When he breaks up the fight, he grabs, I don't know anybody's name, but the asshole guy. I hate this guy. The one that threw the football, right? He's beaten up Elena's brother. When Stefan grabs his arm and like pulls him off, like the guy kind of gives him a look like, whoa, you're too strong. Like, you're stronger than you should be. And then he punches him, and Stefan doesn't even like try to pretend that, that like knocked him off of his feet or anything. Do you know what I mean? Like, it clearly had no effect. And then when the other guy cut him with the glass, it was an interesting choice. like, first of all, it healed instantly, which is interesting. I mean, accelerated healing is generally part of the whole vampire thing, but it seemed to, completely heal within just a few seconds. And it was interesting that he's just like, oh no, I'm fine. Like, totally fine. It wasn't my blood. When, like Elena says, I saw you get cut. Everybody did. And I just thought that he would have hid his hand, and then been like, oh, it's just a scratch. Or maybe even like put a bandage on it to hide it. Like, I was surprised that he was just so like, no, I'm fine. Oh, when Damon had the girl that had been bitten before, when he had her up on the roof, Stefan, like, I kind of looked away for a second, actually, so I missed it, but I'm assuming he just jumped straight up there. I don't think that he, like, zoomed up the building or anything, like ran really fast up the building. I think that he just, like, jumped, but in any case, there were a lot of people out, and so I'm just saying that they're really, really, really careless with their powers. And this is something that I don't think I mentioned in the very first episode, but it annoyed me when Stefan went to Elena's house and then he's like just stood there awkwardly at the front door. And I was like, okay, yeah, I get that he needs an invitation. Like, thanks for telling me, TV show. But I also kind of figured that because he's a vampire. Although, that doesn't always, Twilight, right? But I can't think of anything else where vampires don't need an invitation. But like, okay, fine, you're letting me know the rules, but I thought, why couldn't you just ask? Like, why couldn't he just say, may I come in? And then she would be like, sure, come on in. Like, there's literally this moment where she basically asks him, like, why are you standing out there? And he's just all awkward about it. And I'm just thinking, why is this awkward? Literally just ask, can I come in? It's not a big deal. And so I appreciated when Damon shows up with Caroline, I think. I'm trying to learn everybody's name. When he shows up with her and he's obviously not coming inside, and I think somebody says, like, what are you doing out there? And he says, I'm waiting for Elena to invite me in. And I thought, thank you. That's all you have to say. It doesn't have to be weird. Yeah, he's great. He's so great. He's so great. But and so I'm also curious if, because magic seems to exist, right? We're talking about witches, and Stefan gives Elena this necklace that has like herbs in it to, I guess, keep her from being glamored, or preventing vampires from putting the whammy on her. And so magic exists, at least in some form. And so I'm wondering if there's a de-invitation spell or herb or ritual or something. So like, once a vampire is invited in, is that it? Because it was actually really scary, right? When Damon tells Stefan that I've been invited in and I can do whatever, whenever I want, and I'm going to. He's the total badass. I really love him. Have I mentioned that? I really love him. I'm really digging this character. But yeah, so it just made me curious if there's a de-invitation spell. So both of the girls who were bitten, Vicky, I think, and Caroline, both of those girls had dreams about Damon. And so did Elena. And I'm wondering if, because at first I thought the dreams were because of being bitten. Like, at first with Vicky, I thought, oh, that's really great that they're showing the trauma. That it wasn't just like, oh, this weird thing that happened. I got bit, haha. And now I'm totally fine. No, there was actually some like lasting trauma to it. So I appreciated that. And then kind of the same thing with Caroline. And I was surprised but also not surprised that she lived, because I didn't really think that he was going to kill her just because she's Elena's friend, and I just didn't think that that was the game that he was playing. But I was surprised that he bit her, but now I can see that, well, he can bite whoever he wants and then just like glamour them or whatever. I don't know what to call it in this show. And after Elena had the dream about Damon, she wakes up and the camera pans over and we see that Damon in his crow form is sitting there in her window. So I'm just wondering if he's directly causing the dreams or indirectly causing the dreams. But if he's directly causing the dreams, then that is yet another power, and I like it. And I wonder if he's the only one that can do that, or if that's, something that all vampires can do. I'm assuming that we're going to meet other vampires, so I'm interested in expanding on the lore. So far, I like it. It's pretty standard, but it's good. I don't mind standard. Oh, I was wondering if they're not cold to the touch, because they're touching people and making out with people and nobody's mentioned like, hey, you feel kind of cold and clammy. So I wonder if they are a normal temperature. We see Damon sleeping and he's very clearly breathing. So I guess they breathe. They probably don't need oxygen, but they're still breathing. So, okay. My other notes are Elena sees through Damon, which I appreciate, that she's not fallen for his charm. And but he does care for her. He very clearly does care for her. And obviously there's more to the story with Catherine. Apparently they both, this is kind of what I'm thinking, like they apparently both dated her, but I'm thinking that Stefan is somehow responsible for her death, which was the vibe that I was getting before. But I think that that's why Damon is so pissed off, because he was in love with Catherine and he blames Stefan for her death. So that'll be interesting to learn more about. Oh, I'm super interested in Bonnie, but I did think that the whole thing with the numbers was kind of lame. I thought that it was going to be something else, like something, I don't know, something more interesting. I just find it really strange. So the building was like building 8, because the numbers were 8, like 8, 17, 22, or 23 or something like that. And I thought it was going to be like a date of some kind. I thought it would be something more interesting, and it was just the building, a license plate, and a parking spot. And I thought that was pretty weak. I mean, that's a very weak complaint, too. Like, that's a very minor complaint. I'm super interested in Bonnie. Yeah, I'm interested in that storyline. And honestly, I feel like I could watch another episode. I'm getting into it. It's getting better. I'm just so tired. And if I watch another episode, I'll have to record another episode. And I don't know if I can. We'll see. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I will talk at you later.